How do you start cheating on your wife after 38 good years?
Men, we can't live without them, yet still can't live with them.
Men, why we hate them.
Specimen 1, my dad. He's been married to my mom for over 38 years. They met each other in college and have been inseparable since then. Their marriage was the kind that every couple would aspire to have when they become old. My dad always treated my mom like she was the only woman in the world. You could tell she was the queen of his heart. I always prayed to have a husband just like him, until 3 years ago when I found out he had been cheating on my mom for the past 10 years. Mom had tried her best to hide it from us so he wouldn't disrespect him. But in recent times, they've had some really heated arguments. The day Dad didn't spend the night at home was when I realized things had gotten really bad and decided to sit Mom down for a heart-to-heart talk. Being the only girl, Mom and I are really close. But before then, we'd never really talked about her and Dad. For the first time in my life, I saw my mom sobbing as she opened up to me. Apparently, the problems in their marriage began after Dad started making a whole lot of money from the business a friend introduced him to about 10 years earlier. At that time, we had all been so happy when the business became successful because our lives changed for the better. We moved to a beautiful house on the island and Dad got new cars for every one of us. Even my eldest brother that now lives on his own wasn't exempted from the car bonanza. Mom confessed that she still holds herself back from cursing the day that Dad started his business till today because that was when their marriage began to get sour. It started from him becoming friends with business moguls that hung out at bars almost every night to getting more attention from women, especially the younger ones who he didn't know how to handle.
Seriously, I think at this point, I agree with Sonia's experiments because I need answers. We need answers. How do you start cheating on your wife after 38 good years? A woman that stuck with you all the time you were broke, and then all of a sudden you hit the jackpot and voila, the next thing you think about is cheating on her. That's a wonderful way to say thank you, isn't it? Well, let's continue with the story.
Eventually, he fell into temptation and hasn't looked back since then. His wife of many years that helped him to grow from grass to grace was no longer beautiful and sexy in his eyes. He had forgotten so soon how she stood by him throughout the period he was in pain because of osteoarthritis, and how she encouraged and stayed with him when he was hospitalized for his joint replacement surgery. I'm sure you are probably wondering what the deal is about osteoarthritis. It's a long-term condition that affects the joints and makes them stiff, painful, and sometimes swollen. It's usually caused by wear and tear damage in the joint cartilages and is more common among older individuals. Joint replacement surgery is recommended sometimes when the condition gets really bad. Although my dad had been nothing but a darling when he came to me, I couldn't help but detest him for how he made Mom feel. Mom's confession has prompted me to dig deeper into why a man that loved his wife so much will suddenly change his attitude towards her. How is it possible that a man that never cheated on his wife once in their marriage suddenly begins to change girls like clothes about 20 years down the lane? I guess we'll find out together as the story continues. For now, let's move to specimen 2. He's my eldest brother, Steven, the complete opposite of my dad. He doesn't have time for women and sees them as a distraction. Steven is a very handsome young man. He's the tall, sexy guy with a six-pack and muscular arms that every woman wants to date. A lot of girls literally worship the ground that he walks on. And at the sound of his deep, sexy voice, they begin to melt. He might be my brother, but this is not hype, it's facts. I've witnessed it firsthand. So many girls have even tried to be friends with me just so I could put in a good word for them. Sometimes I even receive a few random gifts, which I collect with joy since I consider them to be harmless. Unfortunately, Steven stays unmoved by any of their advances. He's not even thinking of settling down anytime soon. The only thing he cares about is his business. That's his first love. Since he started his company 5 years ago, that's all he ever thinks about. The good news is that the company is doing quite well. He moved into his own apartment about a year after he started the company, and ever since then, we hardly see him at home. I always try to visit him once a week so I can cook some decent meals for him, since he doesn't allow any woman do that. What can I say? I'm his only sister, so I guess it's my duty. One day, I was at his place for my usual cooking ritual when the doorbell rang. I was busy in the kitchen, so he went to get the door himself. You won't believe it. It was his personal assistant that had come to seduce him. It came as a huge shock because Stephen never shared personal details like his home address with any of his staff members. It was a policy he strictly adhered to. His PA had somehow managed to steal his details since she was the staff member that worked closest to him. And I decided to play him a friendly visit, thinking he'd be much less rigid outside the office. Unfortunately for her, she was so wrong. In fact, I think she made the biggest mistake of her career in his organization with that move. I was still busy stirring egusi soup I was cooking when I heard Steve shouting, "What the hell are you doing in my house? How did you find this place?" His shouting followed immediately by a female voice saying, "Calm down, I just came to check on you, I won't be long." All her explanations seemed to fall on deaf ears as Stephen continued shouting, "Who gave you the right to come to my house?" I was still waiting to hear her response when I saw a slim lady wearing denim bomb shorts and a top with a low neckline run into the house. I have no idea how she was able to get past Stephen. But next thing I knew, she was getting naked as Stephen ran into the house after her. You could tell he was shocked at what was going on. Ladies and gentlemen, the hustle is real. I honestly don't know what she was hoping to achieve from her actions, but my babe was going for the kill. She was so bent on her mission that she didn't even notice there was another woman in Stephen's kitchen already preparing food for him. That is how all these girls go about breaking homes in the name of chasing man. If I wasn't his sister, I might have started to think she was one of his girlfriends or something. To cut the long story short, it was not easy getting her out that day. As a matter of fact, when she finally noticed me, she wanted to start fighting physical, thinking I was competition. Even if I was going to pity her and plead her case before Stephen, she totally messed it up. I definitely don't want an area mama as an in-law. I don't need to tell you that she was sacked on the spot. After we were finally able to get her out, the security guard also got the scolding of his life for letting her in without confirmation. That's just one of the many scenes I've witnessed where girls go all out to get him. He's even told me of times when ladies have tried to seduce him in his office while he was conducting job interviews on them. Believe it or not, my brother has never fallen into temptation once. And yet, he has the same hormones that all these other men claim make them cheat. That's why I've decided to make him one of my specimen. I need to find out what it is that makes him able to resist all these female advances that other men find so difficult to resist. And before you start jumping into conclusions, he's not gay. I'm sure you're probably thinking you've heard it all. This is just the beginning. Wait till you hear about specimen 3 and 4.
Okay, hold up. Do men like Stephen actually exist? On this planet Earth? Maybe in Venus or Mars or something, but I'm not sure they exist on this planet. Anyways, I think it's a good idea that Sonia is adding him to her list of specimens. But then again, who do you think she's going to use as specimen 3 and specimen 4? Some crazy dude or something? I guess we just have to wait till next episode to find out. See you in episode 3. If you're enjoying the story so far and you really don't want to have to wait till the next episode, then there's good news for you. The book is actually available in paperback and ebook format on Amazon and Seller. So you just need to go to Amazon and type in Men Why We Hate Them by Olufemi Idowu, and it will bring up the book, and you get to choose whether you want the ebook, paperback, or the audiobook.
For users that don't have access to Amazon, you can download the ebook on seller.co.
And you get to read these and many more exciting titles from yours truly. Men, why we hate them.